Heartwarming twist. 1. Unexpected billionaire turns a lonely night into an amazing dance of dreams. Jessie felt the weight of the night pressing down on her as she scrubbed the counter at the diner. The smell of fried food mingled with the sound of crickets outside, a constant reminder of the peaceful world that existed beyond these walls, a world in which she once danced like the sunlight breaking through the trees. Now, 30-something and tethered to her waitress apron, the golden dreams of her childhood seemed like distant stars, as unattainable as a life free from bills and responsibilities. Yet every night, she walked home to her bright-eyed daughter, Lily, clinging to the hope that one day she'd get to dance again. But that hope flickered like a sputtering candle in the wind. Jessie sighed, reminiscing about the nights she twirled on stage, feeling like she could reach the heavens, and now returning home to the stark reality of overdue rent and a paycheck barely enough. Her internal struggle mirrored the clinking dishes in the background. The hustle and bustle around her took on a new, dim tone. What was she sacrificing? Her joy for the paycheck? The thought clawed at her like a feral animal, gnawing on her insides. A local charity gala caught her attention, a chance to earn a little extra as she shuffled off her shift. Maybe people would have funny stories to tell or tips to share. But as she navigated the glittering chatter of the estate, Jessie felt the sting of their whispers brush against her jeans and diner apron. It's as if they could all see the ghost of her former self lurking just behind her tired gaze. Heart heavy, Jessie thought of retreating into the shadows. Just as she prepared to slip away unnoticed, a tall figure burst into her line of sight. Mark, the billionaire who had once walked the same streets, now dressed in a suit that screamed affluence, yet his eyes were anchored in familiarity. He stepped forward with an ease that contrasted sharply with her nervous demeanor and captured her attention. He saw her, not just the waitress, but a soul yearning for release. "Care to dance?" he asked, extending a warm hand. Laughter echoed around them as the curiosity of onlookers swirled like the aura of forgotten dreams. Jessie hesitated. This wasn't the ballroom stage she had known, but a stage of glitz that reflected the chasm between them. Yet stepping onto the makeshift dance floor, her fears fell away, and they moved in sync. She could feel the rhythm of their connection amid stares and whispers, illuminating the darkness that crowded her mind. Before she could grasp the ramifications of this moment, Mark revealed his intention to help her fulfill her dreams. "I'll sponsor dance classes if you share your journey. Let others see what passion can do," he proposed. And at that moment, she felt a rush of exhilaration, an untainted dream fluttering to life. But the exhilaration quickly dissolved into something darker. Jessie scanned the uneasy faces of the aristocracy, their judgment seeping through the air. Each expectant gaze weighed heavy on her, like chains binding her back into conformity. What would this mean for Lily? Would her daughter understand why Mom was dancing in that kind of place? As whispers about their bond grew louder in the distance, Jessie felt confusion spiraling into fear. Jessie stood at a crossroads, the weight of societal expectations pressing down on her chest. Would she take the leap into the unknown, igniting her passion at the risk of losing the little stability she had? But standing there, together with Mark, the possibility of reclaiming her lost dreams flickered brighter than the gossip trying to extinguish it. The night, thick with tension, poised on the brink of transformation. Hers for the taking, if she dared to grasp it. As the music faded and the crowd began to recede, Jessie faced a choice. Dare to dance with her heart on her sleeve, risking everything to reignite her flame? Mark lingered near, his own battle hidden behind a mask, complicating the ties now binding them. Would he walk with her into the uncertain night? Or would he turn away from the woman who dared to dream while the world demanded she remain unseen? The decision loomed over Jessie like the weight of a storm cloud. She could feel the tension crackling in the air around her, a palpable energy that seemed to amplify her racing thoughts. Mark, so poised in his tailored suit, was an embodiment of what she longed to escape and embrace all at once. This dance was more than just a fleeting moment. It represented a flicker of clarity amid the chaos of her life. She took a deep breath, silvering the frustration that had settled like ash in her chest. What would it really mean to dance again? She thought, the question echoing louder than the fading music. The last time she had pursued her passion, she had left behind a part of herself, the naive girl who believed the world was one stage where dreams could come to fruition. Every day spent at the diner chipped away at those dreams, leaving her with only shards of a once vibrant aspiration. "I could inspire others," she whispered, a thought that had been ignited since Mark's proposal. The mere idea of rediscovering her joy and sharing that journey felt intoxicating. But lurking behind the joy was a festering doubt that plagued her heart. What kind of example would she set for Lily if she dared chase a dream that might lead to failure? The weight of responsibility was familiar, heavy. She had carried it for years. But as she looked into Mark's warm, earnest eyes, she saw possibility and a reflection of her former self, a person who craved freedom through rhythm and movement, unshackled from the mundane. There was a small flutter of rebellion in her spirit, and for the first time in a long time, Jessie felt a shift. "What's holding me back?" she examined, scrutinizing the fears she had worn like armor. Societal judgment? Financial instability? A daughter's expectations? Or perhaps it was a deeper fear, a fear of failing to be the person she had envisioned. Jessie took a step back, contemplating the woman she had become, someone who kept her dreams tucked away, safely out of reach. But that narrative had grown stale, and Mark's invitation had sparked a glimmer of hope she couldn't ignore. The prospect of dance classes hung in the air like an unclaimed prize, and she realized there was strength in vulnerability, an empowering rawness in letting others witness her journey. "Okay," she finally replied, her voice steady, defying the quaking of her insides. "I'll do it." Fully aware of the implications, Jessie felt the adrenaline surge as she weighed her own conviction against the cacophony of doubts. The night enveloped her like a cloak, obscuring the world's harsh realities but illuminating her path forward. Mark's face brightened with a smile that felt like a gentle sunbeam. "You won't regret this," he assured her, confidence spilling over into his words. The mutual understanding built a bridge of connection that steadied her resolve, and for the first time in years, Jessie felt a rush of exhilaration, a glimmer of something beautiful and bright on the horizon. As Mark led her to a quiet terrace, far from the prying eyes of society, she felt the familiar tug of excitement wash over her. Thoughts of Lily drifted into the background momentarily. What if she sees me come alive again? Is this not the life I want for us both? But shadows lingered, whispering concerns of the judgments awaiting her. And for as much as Jessie felt ready to leap into the dance, her heart danced to a different rhythm of fear and anticipation. Before she could unravel the knot of thoughts in her mind, the unexpected noise of shattered glass broke through the night's tranquility, the sound slicing through her burgeoning resolve. She turned sharply, uncertainty refueled with an urgency. Who or what awaited them next? The evening had shifted, its once inviting glow now darkened by the shadows gathering around her. Was this the moment where everything she was training herself to awaken would face its first real test? Jessie could feel the weight of the world intensifying, preparing to challenge her resolve just when she had decided to embrace her dreams. How would she respond when the facade of comfort began to crumble? The shadows stretched long and thin, swirling at the edges of her mind, as Jessie stood frozen, her heart picking up tempo as the sound of shattered glass echoed in the recesses of the terrace. She was acutely aware of Mark's sideways glance, his brow furrowed with concern. But the alarm bells in Jessie's head were not just about safety. They were about the significant decision she had just made. For better or worse, she was on the brink of transforming her life. "What if it's a sign?" she questioned, her thoughts spiraling as adrenaline surged through her veins. Was the universe mocking her for daring to reach beyond the diner's walls, for wanting to dust off the dreams she'd buried deep? The haunting thought pushed her forward, into a confrontation with the choice she had just accepted. Jessie peered into the darkness, her breath shallow. Is it too late to walk away? To retreat back into the cocoon I've spun? But as Mark leaned closer, his presence felt revelatory, like a beacon illuminating the recesses of her trepidation. She recalled his words, his encouragement, igniting a flicker of newfound determination within her. "Jessie," Mark's voice threaded through her haze, grounding her. "We need to check it out." The suggestion, while practical, sent a shiver down her spine. It symbolized the first of many confrontations she'd have to face, not just against the unknown outside, but against herself. The fear of failure that tugged at her refused to recede. Dancing on a stage, pursuing her passion after years of silence, felt like a leap into an abyss. "Okay," she admitted, surprising herself as she took a steadying breath. "Let's see what it is." The world beyond the terrace could represent a choice to awaken, not just her dreams, but her whole self. As they stepped out into the cool night, the remnants of the glass lay scattered on the ground, reflecting the dim light of the street lamp above. It was where her life felt fragmented, pieces she once thought irreparable. With every step forward, she felt the tremor of vulnerability pulse through her, but rather than flee, she chose to confront the remnants of her fears. Things won't change overnight, will they? She mused, glancing at the stars, questioning the universe's timing. She didn't even know how to dance with her dreams yet. How could she possibly handle whatever lay lurking in the shadows of her life? Just then, a figure stepped forward, silhouetted against the backdrop of starry chaos, their expression obscured, but their intent palpable. Jessie's heart raced. The uninvited interruption could have spiraled her fears back into a vortex of uncertainty. Instead, it encapsulated the reality check she desperately needed. This moment wasn't about the glass lying shattered at her feet. It was about reclaiming the shards of her dreams, stitching her identity back together. "Who are you?" Mark challenged, moving protectively in front of Jessie, yet she felt an unexpected pull, an urge to step out from behind him. The shadows of her past and doubts flickered in her thoughts. Yet Jessie's pulse quickened, not from fear, but from the intoxicating rush of some latent bravery awakening within her. "It's not about them," she reminded herself. "It's about me." Slowly, she gathered her composure. The moments ahead, both frightening and exhilarating, became interwoven, her dance with reliability contending against her longing for freedom. Whatever awaited her, she would stand firm. Jessie would embrace this uncertainty, and, in doing so, find something that could anchor her. Because even in the gloom, perhaps there was a path toward both rediscovery and revelation, one that entwined her dreams with her responsibilities. It was time to face whatever confronted her, not as a timid girl with lashes of glass, but as a woman on the brink of transformation. In that moment of decision, Jessie took a step toward the figure, feeling an electric energy pulsing within her. Maybe it wasn't just about reclaiming who she used to be. It was time to discover who she could become. Where would this encounter lead her? Would the crossroads before Jessie catapult her into a new reality, or challenge her to confront the harsh reflections of her past? The answers felt imminent, and curiosity danced around her like flickering stage lights desperate for a performer. The figure stepped fully into the light, and Jessie's breath caught in her throat. The unexpected clarity of his features contrasted sharply with the uncertainty swirling inside her. He wore an enigmatic smile, confident yet disarming, an unsettling blend that ignited something dormant within her. "Are you two okay?" he asked, his voice smooth, illuminated by curiosity rather than threat. Jessie's instinct to retreat into her hesitations began to fade as she felt the tension in the air shift. Was this an opportunity, or something more sinister? Mark remained cautious, planting himself firmly in front of Jessie, as if she were a fragile treasure. Yet Jessie, emboldened by a growing desire to reclaim her narrative, stepped forward from behind him, challenging both the figure and her own fears. "We heard a crash. What happened?" The stranger regarded her with keen interest, seemingly untroubled by Mark's protective posture. "Just a glass shattering, a simple accident. But accidents can lead to unexpected revelations, can't they?" His tone held a captivating promise. Jessie wanted to believe him, to see the doors that could open from moments of chaos, but doubt clung to her. "What do you know about revelations?" she countered, surprised by her own boldness. Challenging the unknown. Wasn't that part of the journey she was embarking upon? The man chuckled softly, his eyes glinting with an understanding that unnerved her. "More than you might think. I've been where you are, frozen at the edge of change, afraid to leap. But often it's the smallest cracks that let the light in." Intrigued, Jessie studied him, her mind racing. He stood as a reminder of the life she had been refusing, a life of courage and self-discovery. "Who are you?" she demanded, curiosity layering over her trepidation. "Just someone who knows what it feels like to stand still while the world moves on," he replied, his tone laced with a depth that rang true. "But what I discovered is that standing still is a choice, and so is moving forward, even if you do it in small steps." Jessie felt a tightening knot in her stomach. Perhaps this man held the key to unlocking something within herself. It was not what he said, but rather how his words created ripples in her consciousness, beckoning her to confront her stagnation. "Why are you here?" Mark interjected, his protective nature still simmering beneath an overlay of suspicion. The man smiled, undeterred by Mark's inquiry. "Every once in a while, the universe nudges people together. I'm just a spectator, witnessing potential unfold." Potential, a concept that had felt more like a ghost than a reality in her life. Jessie's heart hammered at the thought. Could she really grasp that potential? Could she face the prospect of dancing with her dreams again? "Look," Jessie said, her voice steadier, resonating with a clarity that surprised even her. "I need to know what it feels like to move forward, to step away from my insecurities. You're here for a reason. I want to learn from it." The stranger's expression shifted, genuine excitement breaking through the enigmatic veneer. "That's the spirit. Just remember, every dance begins with the first step, no matter how hesitant." A flicker of hope ignited Jessie's heart. This was not just an encounter. It was a call to action, a way to wrest her joy from the grip of uncertainty. But it demanded that she question every belief she'd held about her ability to succeed. As they stood there, suspended in possibility, Jessie felt the cold weight of her fears dissolve slightly, replaced by the warmth of potential. It was exhilarating, yet terrifying. The decision teetered dangerously close. "What lies beyond this moment?" she mused aloud, contemplating the road ahead. "What if it leads me back to where I started?" "Or forward, to places you've never imagined," the man replied, a knowing glint in his eye. "The choice is yours." Jessie glanced at Mark, whose protective gaze softened as he seemed to grasp the shared significance of this moment. She understood that the journey ahead wouldn't be a solitary one. It involved her embracing her destiny and confronting the insidious doubts that had lingered too long. "Then let's take that first step," Jessie declared, feeling empowered in her decision. But the weight of those words settled heavy on her shoulders. With each inch forward, she would have to confront not only her aspirations, but the very fabric of her identity. Her heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. Would she truly have the courage to follow through? What revelation awaited her as she began to navigate this uncharted territory of dreams? The air tingled with uncertainty, setting her pulse racing. Jessie took a deep breath, ready to breach the unknown. But could she really shift from being a bystander in her own life to embracing her role as a performer? And as she dared to ponder this, she sensed that perhaps the next revelation was waiting just beyond the horizon, poised to teach her the rich dance of resilience, empowerment, and rediscovery. Would she seize it, or falter in the shadows once more? Jessie stood there, heart pounding as she processed the choice before her. The stranger's words echoed in her mind, resonating with a truth she had been reluctant to face. She had clung to her insecurities like a safety blanket, denying herself the vibrant experiences life had to offer. This was not just about stepping forward, it was about redefining who she was in a space that felt both foreign and exhilarating. "I'll take that first step," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. As she spoke, Jessie's eyes flicked back to Mark, searching for shared recognition. His protective demeanor started to uncoil, a realization that his instinct to shield her had become an anchor weighing her down. The stranger smiled, a gesture that softened the momentum of the moment, creating a bridge between Jessie's past fears and future possibilities. "Every dance is a little messy," he said. "It's in the alchemy of the missteps that we find rhythm." Determined to uncover her potential, Jessie instinctively reached out for Mark's hand. It was more than a gesture of companionship. It was a plea for support, a signal to join her on this raw journey of discovery. She needed that connection, a tangible reminder that vulnerability also invited intimacy, and together they could step into the unknown, one beat at a time. Mark's fingers entwined with hers, a silent agreement that transcended words. "Just be careful," he cautioned, his protective instincts battling against the burgeoning hope blossoming within him. "We don't know who this guy is." The stranger nodded, respecting their bond while maintaining an air of mystery. "And that's the beauty of it all," he mused. "You can't control who enters your life, but you can control how you respond to them. Embrace that uncertainty." Jessie felt layers of doubt lift, inch by inch, as she processed the truth in those words. She had spent too long crafting a safe existence, painting her world in grays, and now was the time to embrace color, even if it meant venturing into the chaos. "Can I ask your name?" she ventured, feeling an unexpected surge of courage. His presence had sparked something within her that had been dormant for far too long. "Call me Leo," he replied, his demeanor relaxed yet enigmatic, an invitation to explore the layers beneath the surface. "I'm just here to help you uncover what you already possess, the light that's been hiding away." As he spoke, Jessie's mind opened to the possibilities. What if the messiness of trying was exactly what she needed to reclaim her identity? The rawness of uncertainty melted into the realization that action, rooted in genuine desire, propelled personal growth. "I want to learn how to dance," Jessie declared, a reckoning in her voice. She considered this not simply in the literal sense of movement, but as a metaphor for her life, embracing the unpredictable and learning to navigate the complexities. There was an urgency pulsing within her, a drive to flip the script of her narrative. Then let's start. The world is a dance floor, and it waits for no one. Leo gestured toward the exit. But first, you'll need to let go of the fear of what follows the first step. As she released her grip on hesitation, the air around them seemed to shift, invigorating. Jessie turned to meet Leo's steady gaze and felt excitement surge within her. What if I stumble? Then you get right back up, he replied, his words igniting her spirit like a match to kindling. The key is trusting that every stumble teaches you something invaluable. It was a test she had long avoided. Now the prospect felt intoxicating. Holding Mark's hand, Jessie moved toward the door, feeling every hesitant footfall gradually transform into something more confident. Walking outside, the night wrapped around her like a shroud, yet she sensed the adventure lying in wait. The indeterminate road stretched before her, an invitation to explore uncharted territories of self-acceptance and aspiration. Leo fell in step beside them, extending an unspoken promise of guidance through the tumult. Turning to her companion, Jessie squeezed Mark's hand tighter, infusing the gesture with determination. "Catch me if I fall," she whispered, a smile breaking across her face. "Always," he replied, his voice steady. But as they stepped into the humid night, setting off on their new adventure, Jessie found herself pondering deeper. What hidden fears would she need to confront? How would she react when they resurfaced, testing her newfound resolve? The night was alive with potential, beckoning her to take bold action. Nothing in her life was guaranteed, and yet there lay a thrilling unpredictability ahead. As they walked, she sensed that the first challenge awaited lurking just around the corner, eager to test her resolve. Would she heed it or bow once again to her insecurities? The pulse of adventure quickened, eliciting a heady mix of dread and excitement. Jessie took a deep breath as an undercurrent of possibility swayed her forward, ready to embrace whatever came next. The air was thick with unspoken anticipation as Jessie, Mark, and Leo moved through the night. Streetlights flickered like stars against a backdrop of velvet sky, illuminating the path that twisted ahead. Each step they took seemed to resonate with a rhythm that mirrored the rapid beating of her heart. As the chill of the evening enveloped them, she felt invigorated, yet unease bubbled beneath the surface, hinting at the trials that lay ahead. "What does dancing really mean to you?" Leo asked, breaking the silence. His question hung in the air like a note waiting to be resolved. Jessie hesitated, the magnitude of the inquiry almost overwhelming her. "It's liberating," she finally said, her voice softening as she thought it through. "It's about freedom and expression. It's the opposite of holding back." With each word, she realized she was sharing her truth, allowing the vulnerability she often shunned to seep into the open. Mark stood quietly beside her, a supportive presence amidst the unveiling. But inside, a war of sorts raged. He was still protective of Jessie, afraid that the journey she was embarking on might lead her to perilous territories. Though he respected her desire to grow, every move she took felt like a risk to him. He exchanged a glance with Leo, silently questioning his intentions. Leo's eyes sparkled with encouragement and understanding. "Exactly. It's an expression, yes, but it's also about confronting obstacles. Just like in life, the most profound revelations often come from moments when we feel most vulnerable." He spoke with an authority that resonated with Jessie, his words weaving a tapestry of potential within her psyche. As the trio turned the corner onto Main Street, Jessie noticed a small cafe pulsing with activity. The sound of laughter and music spilled into the street like an invitation. She took a deep breath, the aroma of fresh pastries mingling with the essence of possibility. "What if we go in?" she suggested, a spark of spontaneity igniting within her. Mark glanced at Leo, unsure, but Jessie pressed on, looking at them with newfound determination. "I want to experience everything. What's dancing without a little risk?" After a moment's silence where both of her companions exchanged looks of uncertainty, Leo broke into a grin and led the charge toward the cafe. Jessie could feel the tides shifting beneath her. "The world isn't going to wait for you to be ready," he encouraged, ushering them inside. Seated at the dimly lit corner table, the atmosphere was alive with laughter and joy. Jessie couldn't help but feel a swell of excitement. "What now?" she asked, turning to Leo with anticipation. "Now you observe. Watch the dynamics," he suggested, his voice a rich undertone against the background noise. Find your rhythm in this environment. Jessie surveyed the scene, her mind whirring. Couples danced closely, their movements fluid and uninhibited. Friends huddled together, laughter ringing clearly as they shared stories. She began to recognize a thread of familiarity. Each moment was a dance of its own, a cacophony of diverse rhythms woven into a shared pulse. Yet, as enthusiasm bubbled within her, the shadow of doubt slipped into her mind. Could she blend into this energy? The fear of standing out crystallized in her chest. Mark noticed her hesitation. "Do you want to join them?" he asked carefully. Jessie felt the urge to retreat into her familiar shell, but Leo's earlier words echoed in her mind. Every stumble teaches something invaluable. "Yes," she responded, the resolution tasting sweet on her tongue. She stood, feeling Mark's concern heavy upon her shoulders, but the urge to unleash her spirit trumped the apprehension. "Let's do this." Leo's smile widened, recognition of her internal battle apparent. He stepped back, giving her space. Jessie took a breath and moved toward the makeshift dance floor, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The music pulsed around her, lifting her light spirit. Stepping into the space, she felt a mixture of excitement and fear wash over her. With every beat, she ignited a spark within her that demanded expression. Yet, there was still an underlying question gnawing at her confidence. With each step, she felt the thrill of excitement colliding with vulnerability. But then a misstep. The heel of her shoe caught on the floor, sending her off balance. Time seemed to suspend as she teetered precariously. And before she could remember Leo's advice, doubt clawed at her thoughts. Would she fall? Would she be judged? Before she reached the ground, however, a firm grip caught her arm. It was Leo, steadying her. "Mistakes are part of the dance," he whispered, his reassurance a balm against her spiraling thoughts. Jessie met his gaze and felt a flicker of something transformative within. Suddenly she laughed, an honest, liberating sound that burst forth without hesitation, ringing through the cafe. As she regained her footing, she realized that the stumble had only drawn her deeper into the dance. Revitalized, Jessie swept back into the rhythm, letting go of the fear and embarrassment that had once paralyzed her. With each movement she found an uncharted connection to freedom in expressing herself. Yet deep inside, the question lingered. What other barriers would she have to confront in this dance of life? The answers seemed to loom, waiting for their own moment to test her resolve. As the music swelled, she met every challenge with a blend of boldness and grace. But in the stillness of her heart lay the unresolved tension of what awaited her journey beyond this dance floor. Would she tackle the emotional risks that came with pushing boundaries? Or was she simply dancing around the more profound truths lying just beneath the surface? Amidst the lively atmosphere, Jessie danced not just with her body but with her spirit, preparing to navigate whatever comes next. But as the music pulsed on, she felt the delicate balance of uncertainty creeping forward, her inner conflict dancing alongside her vibrant movements, beckoning her toward an inevitable confrontation. With each passing moment, Jessie surrendered to the energy enveloping her. The music swelled, wrapping around her like an old familiar friend. This newfound freedom felt intoxicating, and yet lingering in the background was the persistent echo of her growing doubts. As she danced, the crowd seemed to diminish, the hum of voices fading into white noise. It was as if she was the sole focus of the universe, the rhythm and pulse of the night intertwined with her own heartbeat. Yet somewhere beneath the surface, a simmering anxiety clawed at her mind. Each note encouraged her to dive deeper into vulnerability, but the shadows of self-doubt whispered reminders of past failures. Could she truly embrace this path of artistic expression? Suddenly Jessie's feet slowed, caught in the delicate web of contemplation. Was she simply mimicking the free spirits around her? Or was there authenticity in her motion? With an exhale, she pulled back from the central dance, observing her surroundings with sharpened focus. Eyes darting around the room, she noticed the depth of connection others shared. Couples swayed to melodies, pouring their emotions into the cradle of their movements. Friends exchanged glances and laughter, their camaraderie tinged with an electric spark. For the first time, Jessie felt the slipstream of that connection beckon her inward. Could dancing actually be a bridge to a more profound exchange, one that could transcend her personal barriers? She fought against the undercurrent of self-doubt, sensing it wrapped tightly around her spirit as the guile of prima donnas flickered in her vision. Perhaps the true test would lie not just in her performance, but in how she could engage with others through her artistry. Leo's voice broke through the whirlpool of her thoughts, appearing at her side. "You were carving out your own rhythm there, Jess. It's all part of the dance," he encouraged, his eyes filled with a warmth that both confounded and comforted her. There was a subtle challenge in his tone, the dare to step outside her comfort zone once more. Determined, she squared her shoulders. "What if I want to create my own invitation?" she blurted, the words tumbling forth before she could rein them in. A mixture of uncertainty and resolve washed over her as she considered her next course of action. The urge to retreat was palpable, but something deeper urged her to charge ahead. "What do you mean?" Leo prompted, curiosity piqued. "I want to invite others into my dance. I want to guide them through this journey of expression. I've spent so long hiding away. Perhaps it's time I share the thrill of confronting my fears with those around me," Jessie articulated, her voice steady now. In this admission, she felt a flicker of courage illuminating the darkness of doubt. She was beginning to recognize the potential of their night, not just for herself, but for everyone within this charged environment. Leo beamed with approval, a spark igniting in his eyes. "That's it! Look at the way you light up when you talk about sharing. Let this be the moment you invite others to confront their vulnerabilities alongside you." Jessie turned back toward the dance floor, her heart racing at the prospect. She felt the flickers of excitement interspersed with the fear that had previously paralyzed her. Yet, instead of retreating, her pulse surged with a new rhythm, one that spoke louder than the cacophony of judgment and hesitation. She began calling out to individuals nearby, gesturing with fluid movements, inviting friends to join in. "Come dance with me. Let's share this moment. No judgment, just freedom and expression." As people noticed her enthusiasm, a ripple of curiosity spread through the cafe. Laughter erupted. Some joined her, hesitant but intrigued, while others clapped along to the music, their clapping weaving into an unscripted choreography. With every small connection made, Jessie felt the affirmations of not just her decisions but her evolving self. Gradually a circle formed around her, laughter harmonizing with the beat, each new face reflecting their own vulnerabilities and strengths. Jessie realized this was her moment to shine, a blend of her truth and the shared spirit surrounding her. But as the cheers grew louder, a sudden chill crept back into Jessie's thoughts. What if this was all a fleeting thrill? Would she really be able to carry this experience beyond the dance floor? With every peak of joy, she felt the weight of expectation return, mingling with the thrill of exhilaration. As the music changed, her body moved seamlessly with the sudden shift in tempo, but a question lingered unaddressed in her mind. How would she confront the upcoming emotions ignited tonight? The vibrant dance floor blurred into a vision of future challenges, where the real confrontations awaited, those not merely within the rhythm of the night, but inside her very heart. With her spirit stirring, Jessie knew that as exhilarating as this dance became, it was just the beginning of an unfolding journey. Darkness ignited her fears, and the tension of uncertainty hung thicker than ever. Little did she know, the pulse of fate was about to escalate even further, plunging her deeper into the abyss of her development. Would she be able to face the storm gathering on the horizon? The vibrant energy pulsing around Jessie began to fade as she stepped back from the thrumming mass of dancers. The frenetic movement, once a source of liberation, morphed into a chaotic whirlwind in her mind. While she savored the thrill of inviting others into her shared dance experience, a lingering sense of dread settled over her like an unexpected shadow. Could she sustain this newfound approach? Caught in the tide between elation and trepidation, Jessie withdrew to a quiet corner of the cafe. The muffled laughter and claps echoed softly, yet her own heartbeat hammered loudly in her chest. She took a deep breath, seeking some clarity amid the emotional tempest swirling inside her. The soaring spirits of others illuminated her path, but doubt threatened to extinguish that light. "Is this enough? Is there more I need to do?" she murmured to herself, reflecting on Leo's encouraging words. There was a palpable transformation happening around her, one that had sparked deep resonance, but could she replicate the catalyst fueling it? In the stark contrast of her secluded corner, Jessie began to confront the layers of her insecurities. Her previous performances had always felt selfish, a demonstration of her talent rather than a dialogue between herself and the audience. Inviting others into the dance felt radical. What did it mean to share this talent and, in the process, expose her vulnerabilities? The quiet offered her a moment's reprieve, a chance to re-examine her motivations. Jessie dug deeper, tracing the lines of her history with performance. Each failed attempt to convey emotion on stage had only served to thicken her shell, pushing her further from authenticity. But now, surrounded by laughter and joy, she felt the tendrils of change wrapping around her once guarded heart. "No longer just a performer," she whispered, a new mantra blossoming. "I want to be an artist who connects, who sparks joy through shared vulnerability." Jessie closed her eyes and envisioned the faces of those who had joined her, their expressions flickering between hesitation and elation. Each individual carried their own stories, their own burdens. By offering herself as a guide, she realized she was moving toward a greater purpose. It was not just about dancing, but introducing a realm where others could shed their fears and embrace their authentic selves. As her eyes fluttered open, determination surged anew within her veins. Jessie could see herself not only performing, but also creating spaces within which others could shine. The heartbeat of the crowd pulsed on undeterred, urging her forward, and she understood she would need to build on tonight's momentum. Invite others. But how? The question sparked an idea. What if she organized moments outside of this frantic rhythm? What if she could create a platform where individuals could express themselves? An intentionally crafted series of sessions blending dance with discussion. Jessie felt a charge ignite as she envisioned a gathering, sharing stories through movement, allowing vulnerability to foster camaraderie. But the planning would require further steps, confronting the fear embedded in her previous failures. This wasn't just about the thrill of a moment. It would demand persistence, vision, and commitment. Yet within her lay the seeds of motivation, nurtured by the connections made tonight. As Jessie stepped back onto the dance floor, a new focus gripped her. She approached Leo again, this time embodying the newfound sense of purpose that had crystallized within her. "Leo, what if we created something together?" she proposed, excitement glinting in her eyes. "A dance series that invites people to explore themselves through movement and storytelling. What do you think?" The moment hung in the air. The vibrant energy of the night seemed to pause as Leo considered her proposal. The flicker of vulnerability still lingered within her, but she felt ready, ignited by desire and a shared dream. As Leo's expression shifted to intrigue, Jessie sensed a potential partnership blooming, but uncertainty loomed ahead. What challenges would emerge during this endeavor? The pulse of something larger than herself awakened within her, yet shadowed in uncertainty, leaving Jessie breathless with the thrill of what was yet to unfold. How far would she be willing to take this idea? Would she find the strength to face external doubts along with her own? The process of transformation was just beginning, but the questions that lingered left Jessie eagerly perched on the edge of her next leap into the unknown. Jessie's heart raced as she gauged Leo's reaction to her ambitious proposal. His brows furrowed, and for a heartbeat, her resolve faltered. But then Leo's lips curled into a tentative smile, a flicker of something she hadn't expected. A shared excitement, or maybe a challenge, she couldn't tell yet. "Interesting idea," he said slowly, each word deliberate. "But do you really think people would come to something like that? You know how people are. They might be too shy to share." His skepticism stung, but Jessie refused to allow it to penetrate her newfound determination. She straightened her posture and met his gaze head-on. "Exactly. That's why we need to create a space for them. A space that encourages openness. We can pair movement with meaningful dialogue and promote a sense of belonging." Leo nodded, albeit slowly, as if processing her words. "You're really passionate about this, aren't you?" "Yes," Jessie replied, her voice steady. "I've spent too long performing alone, and it hasn't fulfilled me. I want to create something meaningful for everyone involved. Dance is about connection. Let's leverage that." He sighed, and the hesitation in his eyes flickered momentarily. "All right, let's explore this. But you're going to need a solid plan. I can help with the logistics, but it's got to be professionally executed if we want to gain traction." The knot in Jessie's throat loosened a little. As they shared ideas, a spark ignited within her. She envisioned the sessions unfolding, seeing in her mind a mix of movement, storytelling, and laughter that would weave through the air like music, binding each participant together. But as the initial excitement began to solidify into something more structured, self-doubt threatened to slink back in. Could she manage this venture? Would people really be willing to engage? Leo laid out some practical steps: venues, flyers, outreach. Innocently enthusiastic, Jessie rattled off ideas, from community boards to local wellness groups that could help spread the word. They soon established a meeting time for later that week to continue formulating their vision. As she stepped away, the initial thrill of their conversation mingled with a chorus of anxious thoughts. This was more than a project. It was a leap toward her new identity. Could she be the leader she aspired to be, cultivating a space of vulnerability while grappling with her own fears? Jessie spent the following days meticulously crafting a proposal. She balled up countless drafts, struggling with her words as she wove deeper into her intentions, the core of what she wanted to achieve. Each attempt whispered softly of accountability, to herself and to others. She hesitated, asking herself whether she had the clout to be a facilitator rather than just an artist. Yet buried beneath the uncertainty was a flicker of resolve. She realized something profound. Her journey of transformation wasn't solely reliant on completing tasks or establishing credibility. It also hinged on her genuine desire to connect. One day, after she'd spent hours rearranging her kitchen into a temporary creative space, she paused and reflected on her expectations. "What if the goal isn't perfection?" she murmured to herself. "What if all I need to do is show up with genuine intentions?" With newfound perspective, she crafted her pitch until it felt authentic, vulnerable, and inviting. She was ready to present it to Leo, knowing an essential part of the process involved laying bare her own uncertainties while elevating others. The day came for their scheduled meeting, and Jessie was nervous, yet eager. She rehearsed the details in her mind, each beat of her heart matching the rhythm of anticipation. But as she reached for the doorknob to leave her apartment, shadows of doubt clawed at her resolve. What if Leo dismissed her ideas again? Was she prepared to handle criticism, much less the possibility of failure? Shaking off the apprehension, Jessie took a deep breath, swallowing her fears. "This is more than just a dance series," she whispered. "It's a chance to grow." Determined, she stepped into the bustling street, invigorated by the thought that this was a pivotal moment that could redefine everything she believed about her artistry. What awaited her in that cafe meeting felt crucial. Would she finally confront her inner critic and stake her claim in this uncharted territory? But as she neared the familiar entrance, the air shifted, a chill running down her spine, whispering the truth. The real challenge wasn't just in proposing a dance series. It lay in the discomfort and vulnerability of opening herself up, not only to Leo but to the world beyond. Taking a deep breath, Jessie grasped the door's handle, ready to unlock a future ripe with potential and uncertainty. Would she find the confidence to navigate this new path, or were her hopes destined to slip away like slips of paper in the wind? As Jessie stepped into the cafe, the warmth enveloped her, but her heart raced with uncertainty. She found Leo already seated at their usual corner table, a notepad full of scribbles spread in front of him. His expression was neutral, holding the potential for collaboration or dismissal. Taking a seat opposite him, Jessie felt a swell of anticipation mixed with fear course through her veins. "Ready to share your proposal?" Leo asked, his tone measured. Jessie took a deep breath. "Yes, I've refined my ideas for the dance series. It's not just about movement, it's about creating a communal space where people can connect and express their vulnerabilities." She launched into her vision, detailing each element, how the sessions would blend dance with personal storytelling, emphasizing that everyone has a story worth sharing. To her surprise, Leo listened intently, nodding along occasionally, his interest visibly piqued. "I like it," he said, a smile breaking through his initial neutrality. "It'll take work, but this concept not only fosters openness, it intertwines vulnerability with creativity." Jessie felt a flutter of validation. "What if we invite local artists as guest speakers?" The thought sparked a ripple of excitement in her. "They can share their journeys in performance, and perhaps even lead some activities." "Collaborations can add depth," Leo encouraged, his demeanor shifting from cautious to supportive. "But let's also think about promotional aspects. How do we attract participants who may not be inclined to share?" The brainstorming session flowed, each idea layered atop the last, building into something tangible. Jessie was buoyed by enthusiasm, relentlessly jotting down notes as a sense of purpose radiated from within her. She began to envision an outreach effort, local flyers, social media campaigns, perhaps even a community open house where they showcased a sneak peek of what was to come. But amid her ambition, doubt prompted a whisper from the corners of her mind. "What if you fail?" it taunted. Jessie quietly silenced the voice, reminding herself of the transformation she had embarked upon since meeting Leo. "Let's target community centers and wellness organizations," Jessie proposed, her voice steady. "They can help reach individuals seeking connection." "Great angle," Leo replied, his agreement reigniting her confidence. And with each passing moment, Jessie could feel the shroud of fear lifting. She wasn't just a performer anymore. She was stepping into a newfound identity as a creator and leader. As the meeting drew to a close, Leo suggested that they establish a timeline for executing this project. "We need milestones to keep us on track," he emphasized, taking charge. "Yes," Jessie exclaimed, inundated with a surge of clarity. "Regular check-ins to evaluate our progress. Your experience with logistics will be invaluable. I need your guidance. Let's write it down then, he said, pulling out a fresh sheet of paper. Together they mapped a pathway forward, defining roles and setting dates with palpable excitement. As Jessie watched the plan take shape, an overwhelming sense of satisfaction washed over her. I can't believe how possible this feels, she said, her heart swelling. This could really change lives. Leo's eyes sparkled, reflecting a shared vision. And yours too. Jessie felt a rush of gratitude at that moment. She was no longer dancing solely for herself. By stepping into this new role, she could inspire others to confront their vulnerabilities, proving that art is indeed a dialogue between people. But as they finalized their outline, Jessie's thoughts flickered to Lily. Would this new venture resonate with her daughter? Jessie imagined her little girl's eyes lighting up at the thought of seeing her mother elevate her art into something that could empower others. Leo, I think it's crucial that Lily sees me doing this. I want to set an example for her, she admitted. I think that's beautiful, he replied, his smile warm and encouraging. Your journey is a source of inspiration, especially for your daughter. The topic opened up something within Jessie. She wanted to show Lily not just the artistic process, but what it truly meant to embrace challenges, to turn dreams into reality. Jessie understood that this was not merely a project, it was a legacy she could offer her child, a powerful reminder that dreams thrive through obstacles. Later that evening, when Jessie returned home, she found Lily asleep on the couch, clutching a stack of crayons. An overwhelming wave of love washed over her as she looked down at her daughter's peaceful face, the fluorescent glow of the nightlight illuminating the room. Kneeling beside her, Jessie gently brushed hair away from Lily's forehead and pressed a light kiss there. Just you wait, my love, she whispered softly. Big things are coming. As she slipped into her own bed, Jessie felt a firm resolve crystallize within her. This was only the beginning. She was ready to face every confrontation her newfound path demanded. She envisioned the dance series unfolding, voters gathering, sharing stories, and forging connections. It would illuminate their personal narratives. All at once, a new wave of determination shot through her, leaving no room for doubt. Jessie knew the path forward required courage, the realization that art had the power to unite hearts through shared experiences. And for the first time in a long while, her heart danced with the rhythm of resilience. Jessie had stepped wholeheartedly into her dream, transforming not only her own life, but also those she wished to inspire, and in doing so, she embraced her authentic self. Leaving the doubts behind, she vowed to take the leap into the unknown. Jessie emerged not just as an artist, but as a beacon for others, ready to dance with the world once more. Now was the moment of transformation and triumph. She had conquered her fears and embraced the call to lead. In unison, she would guide others on their journey of self-discovery and healing through the beautiful dance of life. This is where the next chapter begins. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait even one more second to share. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.